Frozen chicken breasts seem like the perfect solution. Cheap, convenient, and ready when you need them. But behind those frost-covered packages lie industry secrets that could make you think twice before buying. From injected salt water to hidden additives and marketing sleight of hand, here's the truth grocery stores don't advertise. 15. The illusion of freshness. When you see the glossy photo on a frozen chicken bag, it's designed to make you think those pieces came straight from the farm yesterday. In reality, the chicken you buy may have been frozen months earlier, sometimes close to a year. While freezing slows bacterial growth, it doesn't stop biochemical changes that slowly alter the flavor and texture. That's why some frozen chicken, even from big brands, tastes bland or develops a faint freezer smell when cooked. The industry banks on you not asking how long it's been frozen before hitting store shelves. 14. How fresh chicken becomes frozen. Contrary to what many think, not all frozen chicken is processed with the intention of freezing from day one. Much of it starts as fresh chicken intended for the refrigerated section. If demand for fresh drops or supply is higher than expected, processors quickly reroute unsold cuts into the freezer pipeline. This salvaging process helps avoid waste, but means your frozen chicken may already have spent days in transit or storage before freezing, impacting moisture retention and overall quality once thawed. 13. The water weight trick. One of the most controversial poultry industry practices is plumping or enhancing chicken with a water-based solution. By injecting meat with water, salt, and sometimes phosphates, producers can increase the weight by up to 15%. You might think you're buying a pound of meat, but you're actually paying meat prices for a portion of salt water. It's a legal practice in the US, but in Europe, stricter rules limit or ban such practices. In blind taste tests, many consumers can detect the difference. Plumped chicken often has a spongier texture and loses more liquid during cooking. 12. Sodium levels you don't expect. Most people think of chicken as a naturally low sodium protein, but frozen, enhanced chicken can have sodium levels that rival processed deli meats. A single breast can contain 200 to 400 milligrams of sodium before seasoning or sauces are added. For someone eating 2 or 3 pieces in a meal, that's a significant chunk of the recommended daily limit. High sodium intake is linked to elevated blood pressure and increased heart disease risk. Yet this hidden salt is rarely discussed outside nutrition labels most shoppers overlook. 11th, the phosphate factor. Phosphates help frozen chicken retain moisture during freezing and cooking, keeping it tender. They also give meat a slightly pinker, fresher appearance even after months in storage. But excessive phosphate consumption has been linked in studies to cardiovascular disease, kidney issues, and calcium loss in bones. The poultry industry defends their use as safe and regulated amounts, but consumers rarely realize how often they're consuming them. If you eat frozen chicken regularly, those safe doses can add up over time. 10. Ice glazing more than just frost. Ice glazing is the process of coating frozen chicken in a thin layer of ice to protect against freezer burn. Done properly, it's a legitimate preservation method. But when glaze thickness is increased beyond what's necessary, it boosts weight and therefore the price you pay without adding actual food value. This is why you sometimes thaw chicken and find a puddle of water in the packaging. While USDA regulations require glaze weight to be included in the net weight, the average shopper doesn't realize part of what they're paying for literally melts away. 9. Labeling loopholes. The poultry industry is a master of using comfort words that sound like guarantees but have minimal legal meaning. All natural only means no artificial ingredients were added after processing. It doesn't address farming conditions, feed quality, or use of antibiotics before slaughter. 100% chicken breast means the meat comes from the breast, but says nothing about whether it's whole muscle or restructured from smaller pieces bound together. These loopholes let frozen chicken appear higher quality than it may actually be. 8. The up to problem. Ever seen contains up to 15% solution on a package? That up to phrase is where the wiggle room lives. It means some packages might have far less added solution, but others will have the full amount. And there's no transparency about what you're getting. This lets manufacturers comply with labeling laws while maximizing profit margins. If you've ever cooked chicken and noticed a lot of liquid pooling in the pan, you've probably experienced the high end of that range. 7. Quality differences between brands. While low-cost grocery store brands often use the most aggressive enhancement and freezing techniques, even premium brands aren't immune. Some high-end labels promise minimal processing and quick freezing after slaughter to lock in quality, but they still face the realities of mass distribution. The differences show most in taste tests. Budget frozen chicken tends to be bland and watery, while premium varieties retain more of the chew and flavor of fresh poultry, but at a cost 2 or 3 times higher. 6. Thawing damage. Even the best frozen chicken suffers some structural damage during freezing. Ice crystals form inside muscle fibers, puncturing cell walls. When thawed, this damage releases moisture, leading to drier meat. If thawing is rushed, say, under hot water, the quality degrades further. This is why restaurant chefs often prefer fresh over frozen, unless they have tight control over freezing and thawing processes. Home cooks, often in a rush, unintentionally worsen the texture by improper thawing, making the chicken tougher or mushier. 5. Hidden antibiotics in the supply chain. Raised without antibiotics sounds clear-cut, but U.S. labeling rules allow for some gray areas. Chickens given antibiotics early in life, long before slaughter, may still be labeled "no antibiotics ever" under certain USDA-approved programs. This isn't illegal, it's a result of definitions crafted with industry input. For frozen chicken, especially from large-scale producers sourcing from multiple farms, it's difficult for consumers to verify the true history of the bird. In contrast, European and Canadian systems impose stricter, clearer antibiotic use standards. 4. The freezer burn problem. Freezer burn happens when air reaches the meat's surface, causing dehydration and oxidation. It doesn't make chicken unsafe, but it can ruin flavor and texture, giving it a dry, leathery quality. Many processors use heavy ice glazing or vacuum sealing to hide early signs of freezer burn. But once you cook it, the damage is obvious. Parts of the meat will taste flat, almost cardboard-like. If you've ever thought your chicken just tasted off, even when cooked perfectly, freezer burn might be to blame. Third country of origin confusion. Frozen chicken labels must disclose where the chicken was raised, but product of USA can legally appear if the meat was processed here, even if the bird was raised and slaughtered overseas. This creates confusion for shoppers who believe they're supporting U.S. farmers. For example, chicken raised in China or Brazil could be shipped to the U.S., trimmed, frozen, and packaged, then labeled as domestic. Countries like Australia and the EU have stricter labeling requirements, making it easier for consumers to know exactly where their meat came from. 2. The environmental cost. The extended cold chain, slaughterhouse to freezer, transport, distribution centers, store freezers, requires enormous amounts of energy. While freezing allows for less waste, it also increases the carbon footprint compared to locally sourced fresh meat. Add to that the plastic-heavy packaging and ice glaze, and the environmental cost becomes even higher. Some eco-conscious consumers are turning to smaller producers who freeze on-site and sell directly, reducing the transportation and storage time that racks up emissions. 1. Better buying strategies. If you value quality over absolute convenience, buying fresh chicken from a local butcher or farmer's market and freezing it yourself can yield better results. This way, you control how quickly it's frozen, avoid unnecessary additives, and know exactly when it went into the freezer. When buying frozen, look for labels that specify no added water, minimally processed, and quick frozen. Compare sodium content across brands. Anything above 100 milligrams per serving likely contains added solutions. Yes, it may cost more, but the flavor, texture, and health benefits often outweigh the savings of bargain bin frozen breasts.